Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Care Managers Inner Circle. My name's Jonathan and lovely to see you here this evening. So how's your day? What a glorious Tuesday it's been today. It's been absolutely gorgeous today. We've had our residents out and particularly at Rosebank, they've been enjoying certainly walks in the park and some visitors in the garden. So once again, lovely to see you here this evening. Once again, if you've been watching on Catch Up, please hashtag Catch Up. And also, just out of interest, just tell me, do you watch it in the car? Do you watch it on Catch Up in the bath? Is it in the next morning? It's always just interesting. Or is it just on the commute as you go to work tomorrow morning? But good to have you along. I hope you enjoyed last night. Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed last night, and it was my Mindset Monday, and it was all about burning your boats, about the power of when your back's against a wall, when you have no other option apart from to succeed. And in life, we're at many junctions, and it's your ability to deal with those junctions, particularly if you almost in a way of self-sabotage, but actually the outcome is far better than you ever anticipated. But if you start to burn your own boats, as frequently you have the opportunity to force your own hand, is incredibly powerful. And as sort of any of you have got a junction in life, then force your own hand because you get a far better outcome than particularly when you're just waiting for things. So we've got a few people here. Facebook user, good evening. Apologies again if you're watching from inside the inner circle. This also goes out on YouTube. But if you're watching from inside the inner circle, it just comes up with Facebook user unless you give permission for StreamYard. And there you go. Good evening. Well, good evening to everyone. And put my little banner back on. And good to see you. I think the starters, make sure you know how to spell psychologically safe. I suddenly realized I was spelling it wrong. So that's not very good, is it? If you're going to talk about psychological safety, make sure you can actually spell the word. Tonight, I just want to talk about not ukuleles. That's a bit later. I just want to talk about psychological safety. It's one of the most important aspects for any organization in terms of success, staff turnover, and quite simply, happier organizations with lower staff turnover and ultimately more successful organizations are those that have inbuilt a safe psychological culture. And so what's that mean? It means that not just physically safe. I've got to say, first and foremost, before you embark on establishing psychological safety in your organization, make sure you've got a physically safe organization, because all the changes in the world, if Dottie, this is my dog. Dot, come say hello. Dottie. No, she's not coming in. So before you embark on establishing a safe psychological culture, make sure your organization is physically safe so people aren't worried about getting harmed or maimed or even worse at your place of work. So psychological safety is where you feel there isn't a blame culture, that you really can voice your concerns, that you have a respected voice, you've got the self-esteem to be able to raise that. And you feel very much part of the organization, as simple as that, that you're contributing, and you don't fear about expressing your opinion, and that's the important thing, that mistakes, whilst they are recognized, there isn't punitive measures which then follow those, and there certainly aren't cliques within the organization, which can be incredibly destructive. So tonight, I just want to go through sort of eight areas which you may consider. So let me just put my. At least you've had a bit of ukulele. There you go. So I've got the ukulele out of the way. So there you go. Psychological safety. I put the Y in. I couldn't believe I spelled it wrong. I just want to go through these, and they're just 8 areas that you may wish to consider when it comes to your own organization. Unlike most things, you could probably come up with about 20, but these are rates which I think are important enough just to be mentioned. The first one is just make sure that your staff feel engaged and listened to. And we're all busy. And one thing which I've got to say, I don't think I'm particularly brilliant at is active listening. Because we're so busy, because we're used to being the one with an opinion that everyone else should be listening to, and people are waiting for your decision on many aspects. At times, culturally, we're not very good listeners, and this is something I've certainly realized myself over the years. And so, listening is a real skill. On YouTube, I've got to say, there are some great little videos, only about 3 or 4 minutes, but they just show you some genuine listening skills, which certainly to be engaged with, and certainly it's worth having a little look at those videos. But be engaged with your staff. Make sure that So if they come into your office, switch off your laptop, close your laptop, make sure you're not looking at your phone. And don't be answering phone. One thing that used to really irritate me when I was in the army is that I've taken the time to go to a senior officer's office to brief them on something, and yet their phone would ring and they immediately would take that call. They say, "Oh, sorry, Jonathan, let me just take this call." I'm thinking, well, I've actually physically taken the time to come and see you, and yet you're quite happy to take a call instead of just saying, "Right, well, I'll deal with that later," or and it was something that I used to always get under my skin, but I was too junior for allowed to do anything about it. So engage and actively listen. And also part of that is demonstrate that you understand. And so to your team and those people that you are listening to their opinion, that their opinion does value, is that have little sayings like, things like, can I just get this right? You believe the following. Or so in your belief, you think the following's happening, and we could probably improve our care on the floor by making these few changes. So demonstrate your understanding and have empathy and compassion when you're articulating that, so that people feel that, he's got it, or she's got it. Yeah, she absolutely understands our position. The next one is avoid a blame culture. And that's easier said than done. We're all under pressure. It's too easy to say, right, well, who's responsible for that? But two things I always ask myself is that, was that mistake done deliberately? And the second one is, have we adequately trained them and communicated exactly our belief, our expectations? And if those two questions are answered, then you have a better understanding in terms of, is a genuine blame here? So if someone's done it deliberately and they have been told, and you've got signatures and they have been suitably trained, then absolutely, there is culpability there and they need to be held to account. But more often than not, you have to be compassionate and you have to be realistic and say, actually, they haven't been informed. They haven't been adequately trained. Yes, in your head, you think they've been adequately trained, but they haven't. And therefore, be compassionate, err on the side of caution, and probably give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's why the importance of your supervisions and the importance of making sure that, you recorded discussions with people before you start throwing around blame. That's unfair. It's quite simply that it is unfair. But very different if they've been trained and they know that. They know the responsibilities. Be open, vulnerable and honest here. So when I say vulnerable, what do I mean by that? Well, you're not breaking down and crying in front of your staff, whilst there's nothing wrong in, of course, breaking down and showing emotion. I'm just saying that in terms of what we're after is just show your vulnerability, show that you too also get it wrong. And be quite open about that. You're not infallible, and if you are, you're the first person ever to be infallible. And just demonstrate that you get it wrong, and we're all learning, and we're all on this journey in terms of learning journey. So every day is a school day type thing. But be open, vulnerable. You must be honest. Your integrity is your shield of armor, and in order to uphold that, you have to make sure that you uphold the highest of standards, because it's easily eroded. as received in the news recently about, a Major General that, who himself was found to be fraudulent. The reason why he got a 21-month jail custodial sentence is because he upheld the highest office in the forces. And therefore, and in terms of the chain of command, it eroded the chain of command. It was one of the most serious cases. And therefore, you can understand the sentence, which was justifiably given in this particular case. Number 5, have a positive culture. And that really is that you don't do, whilst, yes, we can all have a moan, but the reality is that moaning achieves absolutely nothing. That it's all about, it's about mindset. It's about attitude towards challenge. We don't do, and I always say the order in which my organization is run is mission, team, self. We have a mission to leave outstanding care. We have team cohesion, then comes second. So anything that undermines team cohesion is something extremely serious and something that I personally get involved in. So if you've got the most fantastic care in the world, but they just do not get in terms of the team, and they're just not a team player, then that person, I would suggest, always given an opportunity to change. But if they don't change, they have to go, because team cohesion is absolutely everything. So we can't have gossiping, we can't have bitching, because it just erodes. It is so toxic. And then the final thing then is we look after the individuals within that team, but it's after they are third in the order of priority. We have a team, we have a mission to deliver outstanding care, team cohesion, and then the individuals within that team. And it is in that order: mission, team, self. The next one then is we have a low reporting tripwire. And what do I mean by that is that you have, so in your organization, you go into some organizations and unless a bomb's gone off, they won't report it. But we have a very, very low threshold when it comes to reporting skin tears, near misses, etc. Now that has taken some years to establish, because quite simply before then, a number of accidents and incidents were just never reported because it just was not on their radar. A couple of messages here. Let's see. So we've got there's some Roz. Hello, Roz. Good evening. What a lovely Sunday it's been. Makes all it does. It just makes you feel so much happier, and you feel that not spring, but also potentially summer is here. Do you remember last year? I know we were in the start of the most horrific pandemic, but I remember it just being the sunniest of days ever. There's Helen, good friend Helen. Hello, Helen. Evening from Helen Bude. Good evening. And here's our Roz. Good rule of thumb: we have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Therefore, we should listen. You're absolutely right. Sometimes, though, myself included, I'm not particularly brilliant at it, and it's something I think I've just got to get better. Someone said to me the other day that, and this is where you've got to be very humble. And he said to me, he said, whenever I'm talking to you, I can see you want to turn your chair the other way because you've got so much to do. And I felt really bad. I mean, really bad. He said, whenever I'm talking to you or briefing you, I'm always briefing the back of you because you're moving somewhere else. And I felt really bad about that. I thought, God, that's how I clearly come over. So we're all learning. And, at times, low reporting tripwire is brilliant. What a great way of putting it. Shirley, it's very much one of my military analogies. I used to talk about when, so tripwires, you go into some organization, their tripwire is above their head. Nothing trips it. You could have people with limbs missing and all sorts of heinous acts going on, but it just would not, horrendous near misses. And the starting point is how many complaints, how many near misses, how many accidents and incidents have been reported. And one way is certainly getting into weekly and monthly reporting. And you should see a healthy number of things being reported. And if you're reporting near misses, that is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But my determination over the last few years is to bring that tripwire down and down and down, and so low that small little misdemeanors, small issues, small problems on the floor are being reported in a timely fashion. And generally we've done quite well, and we are getting better and better at that. Let me just finish so low reporting tripwire. Establishing appropriate challenge. So this is where so what I call appropriate challenge, this isn't this is making sure that staff feel safe to challenge you. It can be in a meeting, and it can be done entirely appropriately, entirely respectfully, entirely appropriately. And that is something in terms of terminology we talk about, in terms of appropriate challenge, where you should feel safe to challenge the authority, the management, each other. And a bit like, anyone on a plane can say that the plane cannot take or should not take off because of safety issue. It's same in a care organization. Anyone should have the right to challenge and be able to report what they consider to be poor or unsafe care. And the final one is defend and protect the team. And that is so important. And what I say to the team is that I will defend every single one of them. I talk about Tevlar. If you report something to me, you are bomb-proof. If you, it doesn't matter how heinous your crime, and that's tough. I said it doesn't mean that I won't deal with it, but if you report your misdemeanor, if you report your mistake, your failing, your fault, whatever it might be, you will be bomb-proof. You will not lose your job ever for reporting that. You'll never, ever lose your job. I might take disciplinary action, but certainly you'll never, ever lose your job. But I say, if I ever find out that anything was covered up, if anything was withheld from me, I will literally hang you out to dry. And that has been my mantra, and my goodness, I've been tested. I've been told, and people report stuff, and sure enough, they are they're untouchable. I can't get rid of their job is secure and safe because they've reported what they've done, and that's happened on several occasions. And they've been serious accidents, serious incidents, but that's been good. I've been told, they're being honest with me, and we do an investigation and we move on. We learn from it. But that is one of the most important, and I will defend them to the hilt. Absolutely. I will never have anyone undefended or left out to dry, unless they do not report something to me. And we had one particular nurse who I eventually reported to the NMC for doing exactly that. I'm afraid this individual tried to conceal something from me, and therefore I'm afraid he paid the consequence. And so just to go through, so it's psychological safety. Every organization, it is, you have a happier organization, more successful, you have lower staff turnover because people feel psychologically safe. First and foremost, make sure you're physically safe. Be engaged and listen. So shut your laptop, shut your phone, and try and be better than me at being a listener. Demonstrate that you understand, and so articulate to them what you believe they're telling you. Avoid a blame culture, and this is about just making sure that as an organization, you don't have a blame culture, that you learn from it, you move on, and you find out. Another thing with Kaizen is 5 whys. Why? And you keep asking why. Why did that happen? Why wasn't he trained? Or why wasn't he trained in an appropriate fashion? Or why didn't we have time to train him? And you keep digging down 5 whys. So never accept the first reason for the mistake. Keep digging, keep digging. That's why it's called the 5 whys. You keep digging deeper and deeper. Be open, vulnerable, and honest with integrity. Integrity is your golden shield. A positive culture established, no moaning minis. A low reporting tripwire in the organization that you learn, continually learning and investigating. And you get some real good stuff. I mean, amazing stuff. And establish appropriate challenge. Appropriate challenge means that you can't, once you can question, of course you can, and you can challenge the authority and the management. That is good, and each other. But there's a time for it. It has to be appropriate in order to be effective. And the final one is defend and protect the team unless they conceal something from you, which is that. So I'm afraid that's then their license revoked. Folks, lovely to see you this evening. Hope that was a bit of use if you're on your commute tomorrow morning, or on catch up, or in the bath, or wherever you might be listening to this. Tomorrow, in fact, no, Thursday. I've got a fantastic speaker who's coming on, and I'm going to send out a little flyer this evening and tomorrow, which is the person who designed and came up with the launch of the Care Badge. And so that's going to be Anna Farouk. Anna Anna Farouk, and she's absolutely fantastic. And we will see you in the fruit. So I'll see you on Thursday. Have a lovely Wednesday, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.